Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity to practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, so welcome back to Reframe Mindset podcast. My name is Constant Brooks. And this episode we're going to talk about, when something you hate all of a sudden becomes something you love. And it's a topic because I guess, when you're growing up, certain things you really just don't like to do. Like, for example, chores and such like that. And it would be a frustrating thing because, one of the things, I'm older now where I kind of realized why chores and stuff like that was kind of frustrating was because how little, how little I was and then doing those tasks. But then it was like, it was like, it was like a mountain of things, it's like, you're a small, your ant climb a mountain. That's how it feels when you're small and doing all those chores. But now that you're older, you're more stronger and more able to do those stuff. Some of those tasks become more simpler. It doesn't mean that you actually love it, but it may sometimes it might take it to just convince you to just start it, but when you start it, you just finish quickly because you're older now to manage it and stuff like that. But then certain things now, when you're grown up, what happens is that when I grow up now to an adult, you have responsibilities. So certain of those stuff that you never used to like, all of a sudden you're put in a position where you have to do it. You have to do it, and then what happened now is that you have to do it, so you start doing it, and then and then what happens is that you pass the frustrating first part of it. So the first part of it is you actually just getting yourself, forcing yourself to do it and whatnot. And then what happens is over time you reach this phase where you actually understand how to do it easier and then easier. So you start to do it find some tricks and whatnot. I use find some ways to actually make the task a easier task to do, you know. And but then this is the part where I say where the topic comes in, where something you hate or something you love. All of a sudden you start to understand why doing that task is important. That's the turning point, what I realized on this journey. Yeah, I start to understand why that task is important. And then this point is not that the fact that you actually trying to love it, but then you understand now the consequences of not doing that task. Then that kind of motivates you to actually start doing it more because you see the benefits of you doing it now. And then you say, oh, I actually look forward to doing this now. And then over time, what maybe happen is that over time, actually, the initial part of it, that frustrating part of it, you actually got over it, or you find a way to actually remove that aspect of it. And then now it's just a task that you learn to, wake up and motivated to do. That's and then all of a sudden you is not the fact. Sometimes it may turn out you love it. Like for example, some people I say, "Oh, I started doing this, and all of a sudden it became my passion." Like for example, this podcast, you know. Or sometimes it's not the fact that you actually love it, but it gives you something to do. It gives you something to do, and say, "Yeah." Like for example, all these goals that I've been doing recently, moving the stones and such like that. The thing about it is that when I'm doing it, what happens is I see the need of why I wanted to move it. And when I start doing it, it's a hard task. It's heavy. The stones are heavy, and it seems like it's never ending. So I am forced myself to do it. And then all of a sudden, reach a point where actually seeing the results. I'm seeing the pile of the stone actually being reduced. I'm like, wow, it's actually working. Then actually start continue until eventually I finish. And when I finish, I see the pile. See the empty space, and I see. I was like, wow. That's an example of how you know something you hate, you have to do it, but then also you actually love it because you actually see the result of what's happening. Like for example, now what I'm doing is cutting the backyard. It's a frustrating task some of the time. So all the time I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't really take. I said, but what happened is that when I started doing it, um, I I started doing it and it was like frustrating. But what happened the first time was that I'm seeing the results quickly. I'm seeing the grass being cut. I'm like, oh, I actually can cut and use a machete. And then I realized somebody told me that the machete wasn't sharpened because when you just bought it, it's not sharpened. So that's I never knew. So I got it sharpened. And after that, now I started doing it more, and then I actually see the results doing going. I was like, oh, nice, nice, nice. And then I reach a point now where they was getting frustrating again. Yeah. But that part of it now was where the motivation part of it where I had to speak about earlier where I said you reach a point now where you see the need of why you want to do it and you see the benefit of doing it and the consequences of not doing it. So that part now is that phase that I'm in now where basically cut the yeah, sometimes it's frustrating to do it because I'm amateur to it and it's not really doing it. Sometimes I have to cut the same place twice and such like that, and just to get it as clean as possible. But know the benefit of me actually doing it, so I have to push through, take my time. I'm on day 19 now. Day nine, so it's been 19 days since I've been cutting this yard, and it's I'm taking my time and doing it, but I'm seeing the results. And now I'm kind of motivated because I'm actually close to finishing it now. And was while I'm close to finishing it, I see the benefit after doing it now. Like, so that's basically something I hate. And back then, those things were chores back when I was a kid. I would never want to do. Those are stuff that sometimes my grandmother would mention. I say, oh, those stuff. Even when I started doing it, those are stuff that she's mentioned that you do back in her days. Back in her days, back in her days. That was years ago. I know it's my days. I never wanted to do none of that stuff, but eventually I came around to the point now where I'm in the home ownership phase, and then now I'm seeing that as a necessary task to try to achieve the goal that I want. So that's basically the idea that I'm telling you that, certain things when you grow up, you will say, okay, I don't like doing this, I won't, you never like to do it. Then all of a sudden, when you're older and have responsibility, those same things that you say you hate, you understand why it's important to do it. And those simple stuff becomes your pleasure. Like for example, me interested in reading books. I hated reading books when I was younger, but now I'm getting interested in it more. I'm getting more and more interested in reading books. Talking. I was never a talker when I was growing up. Maybe I was when I was younger, but in the high school phase, I kind of ditched away with that, and then over time, I kind of stopped. Wasn't really a talker. I wasn't really chill. Then all of a sudden came the time when I said, okay, I want to just make a accountability podcast to basically just track my progress. And then all of a sudden I started it, and then I got paranoid and I stopped. And because when I started it, it was hard to actually get to know what I was talking about. But I pushed myself over a couple of days, and then all of a sudden, a few days after, I got um excited to actually look forward to actually talking about stuff that I was doing. So some of the episodes actually got excited and motivated to actually want to do those episodes until eventually I reached the depression episode where all because I was start talking about all those stuff, all the feelings and stuff that I usually bottled up during my phase that I wasn't talking just started to come up to me, and then I was like, oh, the paranoia came in and the depression, like the paranoia came in, so after I got through that phase and then started doing it again, then I reached a phase where I've said, okay, that phase where it's frustrating it's frustrating, but the first phase that I mentioned earlier, I forgot what I said, but it's the phase where it's frustrating, but I have to do it. I was doing it because I had nothing to do. It was a lockdown phase. Actually, I started doing it, and then over time, I started doing stuff. Actually, start accomplishing those stuff that I usually mentioned earlier. Like for example, the interviews. As I said, I wasn't a talker. I ended up starting a podcast, started talking about a lot of stuff. Then I took another phase to actually start interviewing people where I start talking to other people about stuff. So that was a big change. That was a big change, and that was a frustrating phase as it was a fun and frustrating phase as well. But over time, the podcast became something actually I look forward to. And now I'm in um that limbo phase. I don't I mentioned the phase, but I kind of forgot about them. No, but no, I'm in that phase now where uh the topics are coming to me now, and I can't speak my mind about it, and then just let it go. But sometimes just to me now, it's more just a way of just releasing the ideas on my mind, you listening to it, maybe get some gems to actually move on, progress with you, for you to progress in life. I get couple cents, and and then some of the episodes I feel the joy of doing it. Some certain episodes I just do it. I started it, and it's like, oh, it's just a topic that came to me that I just want to speak what I know about it. Then there are some episodes now I just feel excited and liberated. Like right now, as I'm speaking now, I just feel the liberation now of speaking. I think you can feel the joy of me speaking now. But earlier part it was just talking. So that's how the podcast has become now. It's like up and down of me hating and loving the thoughts. Some episode I just be like, yo, I'm happy. Yes. I just can't speak on this for hours. And some episodes like, you know, yeah, man. So that's basically how the love hate stuff. Where certain things you hate doing will eventually turn around into something that you love. You never know when, but that's it. I think, funny enough, on this journey, God's willing, if I actually, I, there's a lot of theory I always mentioned. I thought about one, the fear tolerance. I guess this is another one. The full self actualization of the human, will be that phase where you understand the importance of everything and you find the joy of doing everything. that's a that's a very extreme part of it. That's a very extreme self actualization part. But you know, there are levels. There are levels, and what happens is that over time you start to learn to love a lot of things that you hate, and it will change it as you go up. Like for example, another example is drinking. I hate the taste of liquor. But in the university days, I usually party a lot. I usually well not party a lot, but I usually go to parties and I usually drink liquor. I usually hate it. But I knew why I wanted to drink liquor because of the feeling that I get when I'm under the influence. It's a more relaxed me. Now, as I'm older, I really do it now because I'm out of that phase now where I actually see it. Back in the days, I would say I was a person that say, yo, if you're going to drink, might as well drink to get drunk. And I'm kind of still that person, but now I'm in the real world now, so I can't really just be drinking randomly. So I really do that now. So I had to, I stopped doing that. But it's not the sense that I stopped drink. It's just that I I know the occasion now where I want to drink. So and I don't think I know to chase the drinks out, stuff like that. So it's something that I hate, but I am in that phase now where I understand situation where it might be appropriate. Even though I don't really need to do it, but it can be appropriate some places. So I guess that's the next phase. And then maybe the self actualization part that I mentioned will be the part where I actually like drinking, like the liquor taste or something like that. Which I really think people drink like the taste of liquor. They just want to get drunk or something like that. So I guess that's you know yeah. So this is a nice just chill episode. Just get you to, I guess this episode you will listen to, and then when you're in this situation be like, oh damn bro, Colin did mention that you'll be in that situation. I'll be like, yeah. Mhm. So that's it basically for this episode. Thanks for listening. I look forward for the next episode. Mhm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Losing confidence. Because everybody always talk about gaining confidence and such like that. But I'm going through life's journey. What I've realized in my journey, what how with the way I grew up, what happened was basically me losing confidence, and I had to like regain it. And that's basically how my journey has been. And I guess going through my journey, I can talk about this, because as I said my journey is a unique one. Not really unique in the sense that there's a lot of people that going through this journey. If you choose the road that I chose, but you know, losing confidence is like what happens through what I've realized in my